Good morning, everybody. They put me on early after a night out. So that's the first thing you want to hear when you get back from a night out is somebody that sounds like Mickey Mouse being suffocated. So, glad to be here. Glad you're here. Had a great day yesterday. A lot of great speakers, a lot of great information was shared. We had over 400 people in here. We had to bring in more chairs. People showed up that are walking. We haven't had that before. So it was a great time, and we're in for another treat today. A lot of good information. All the presentations you saw yesterday are going to be available in an hour. They'll be up. We're going to be sent a link to them so you can go and download them. But let's get started, because as usual, I have put way too many slides into the time period that I have been allotted, but I think I've got a lot of really important things that I want to go over with you. So let's jump right into it, shall we? So the title of this is Making Sense of the Great SMB Revolution of 2017. Kind of a hyperbole, it sounds like, the SMB revolution, like they're actually out there with pitchforks and torches and things like that. Not necessarily the case, but what we looked at inside of our survey, we understood, wow, there's something happening with local advertisers and local businesses that y'all got to be aware of, if you aren't already. And we have proof that they're saying these things. So, without further ado, I have my little clicker right here. Let's get right into it. Okay, the sources you're going to see today in this presentation come from three basic places. They come from our Compass data, which is our database full of advertising, promotions, and digital services spend. We have that projected down to a county level and forecasted out to 2020. That's the quant stuff. Then some quant, some qualitative stuff. We're going to look at the local advertiser survey we did last year, plus the SMB panel that was born out of that survey. We'll talk a little bit more about that in the last two-thirds of the presentation, because right now, let's just cut to the chase. Let's get to the numbers, because that's what Burrell has been known for, are the numbers. So let's get that out of the way first, and we'll get to the good stuff in the back. Oh, it's all good stuff. But here we go. This is 2016-17 local ad spend, as you see. And what we have here, that very top row is what should jump out. That's everything digital, and yes, that's everything digital. Anything digital. Radio stations, digital properties, anything digital from an advertiser's point of view. Going up 22.4%. Sounds like a lot, right? Remember, the year before that, there was an increase of 36%. The year before that, 44.2%. So actually, it's kind of slowing down, even though that is a very hefty number. The rest of that, the only bright spot is that out of home at 2.2%. And that's a lot due to what's going on in outdoor, all the digital boards that are going up, and the proliferation of outdoor spaces. That 16.7% down in TV, remember you're coming off of 2016 political year. So let's talk a little bit more about that digital versus what I'm going to call non-digital, all that other stuff. So here are the lines that are going to converge here. The blue is the non-digital, and yes, I put a little yellow spot over that. We were calling it traditional advertising, media advertising, but I want to call it non-digital. It makes more sense. Anything non-digital versus anything digital. So digital is the orange line, non-digital is the blue line. They crossed. Last year we were telling you they crossed. It was 50-50 last year in 2016 with that 22.4% gain. In digital, you see it is gaining more market share than non-digital. Altogether, non-digital down 6.9% in 2017, by the end of 2017. Remember, also, Gordon talked to you a little bit yesterday about the local addressable share. That 19% of that digital number is local addressable share. What you can expect is happening is being given in local markets on average. So this is something new. This is an examination of ad spend. Now, stay with me on this one for a little bit. This is from the local advertiser survey. This is the average spend of every one of these kinds of advertisers. Somebody who's spent in this medium. Let me explain, because I know it's weird. The very first one, directories. See, it's at 123,000. That means we had any business that said they spent in directories. They could have spent in something else, but at least they spent in directories. Their average spend was 123, as opposed to about halfway through their broadcast TV, 325, 700, that first, that big line. I want to bring this up to you guys because I think this is an interesting little pattern that's happening and kind of sort of points to a path. As ad spending grows, what do people spend on? And it's interesting to note that at the very end, cinema is, if they're spending on cinema, their average spend is $383,600. Doesn't mean they're spending that in cinema. It means by the time their ad budgets are that big, they're spending in cinema. Make sense? So on the left-hand side, the little guys, here's another chart to kind of illustrate it a little bit. And I'll show you the rest of the table, but to get a sense of what you're seeing here. We then reordered everything by their level of advertising spend, local advertiser spend. Anybody less than 3,000, looked at them, 70% of those guys were spending in one or two media types. That's it. They were spending under 3,000, they're in one or two. As you go up, of course, you see what happens. As they spend more and more money, they spend in more and more different kinds of ad vehicles. I think it's also interesting to note that the concentration isn't as much either. In that very first row, that less than 3,000, we have 70% of them spending in one or two. Meanwhile, down at $1 million or more, only 35%, that's still the concentration, is spending in 7 or 9 different ad types. So it kind of flattens out. As you get more money, you get to spend it in more different places. SMBs have made the turn, ladies and gentlemen. They've made the turn. If you don't know this already, it's pretty easy to see. We asked, okay, take everything away and just look at everything from a digital or a non-digital perspective. That's it. And tell me how you split up your ad budget. How much goes into digital, how much goes into non-digital? This is what they said. And it says traditional there, replace that with non-digital. 47% goes into non-digital, 53% goes into digital from local advertisers. So they've already made the turn. They're halfway into digital, or 53% of their budget's in digital. Which brings up the question, advertising, is that all there is? No, that's not all there is. Because these local guys are spending their money in, you can say, 4 different places. In advertising, promotions, digital services, and non-ad marketing. All 4 of these, I have to, if I'm a local business, spend money in to do what? And here comes a word I'm going to hammer home. To influence somebody to do something. All 4, thank you. They heard me in the next room. Did you hear that? That's what you guys should have been doing. Anyway, these 4 things help influence. And what I'm going to show you here is the overall ad spend, large, small, total national ad spend in the nation. $332 billion being spent in advertising. So that's everything, not just local. Promotions, digital services, non-ad marketing. So let's talk about the 2 gorillas in the room right here. That big honkin' promotions number, $820 billion. Now remember, as a research company, we have to include everything in that. If we're going to say we're reporting on everything, we've got to include everything. And inside that number are coupons, discounts, rebates, things like that. If you were to take that kind of spend out of that promotions tab, it would drop to that, $56 billion. Again, that's $56 billion with a B. So there's a lot of money still there, a lot in events are inside promotions. But that leaves this big honkin' bar chart, or bar, which is almost twice as much as advertising. Digital services. We've got to crack into that because that's where these local businesses are spending a lot of money for the same reason they're spending it in advertising, to influence somebody. Here's a little bit about our survey we did last year. It had over 7,564 completes. We had over 12,000 local businesses take the survey, but we only included completes. So if they didn't complete the survey, they were out, much to the chagrin of my boss. We kept it at absolute completes in here. That also gave us a 1,900-member panel that we asked questions of every month. So, from that, we know what to expect from SMBs in 2017. And I want to show you something that's brand new, hot off the press. Part of that survey, or part of the panel, is a local or a monthly business barometer. We send the same 3 questions out to the panel and ask them to comment on the local business climate. And we ask 3 questions. We ask, hey, how would you characterize the current economic situation? How is it for small and medium businesses? Is it going to get better? Is it going to get worse? And are you going to spend more money in advertising or not? And here, I'll just cut to the chase, bam, bam, bam.
it's pretty positive out there. In February, this is only 2 weeks ago, they were pretty positive about what was going on. The outlook looked good, and down the bottom right there, 37% of these guys said, yeah, I'm going to spend more money next year, or this coming year, in the next 6 months. So I want to go over 5 things that we saw out of this, because we had 2 open-ended questions in this survey that gave us a lot of answers. So many answers, I did a word count on the open-ended answers and compared the word count to the word count of Grapes of Wrath. We had 9% more words than the Grapes of Wrath. Thank you very much. But there was a lot to sift through and a lot of natural language processing to understand what these guys were saying. And so these are the big takeaways. Advertisers are going to cut weaker media to fund digital in 2017. And I put weaker in quotation marks because, you're going to hear this a lot, that's their perception. That's what they're seeing, that's what they're feeling. We had a lot of quotes, you're going to see quotes like this. We had a lot of quotes that are indicative of a large majority of the panel or of the survey where they're talking about these things. So here is newspaper ads or traditional non-digital media have slipped, digital where it's at. We've seen that time and time again in these comments. So another part of the survey, we asked, okay, forget all that. Are you going to increase or decrease your budget, overall advertising budget? 15% of SMBs said, yeah, I'm going to increase it. Great. Separate question. What media are you going to increase over the course of the year? 40% said digital, internet, which should make you scratch your head and think, wait a minute. 15% said they're going to increase budgets overall, but 40% are going to increase digital. Where's that money coming from? Well, there are 3 places that money can come from, right? They can either increase their budget, they can take away from non-digital media, or do a combination of both. And here's what they're doing, or here's what they said. Half of them are going to do a combination of both. Both increase budget and take money away from non-digital media. About 28% said, I'm taking away from non-digital media. That means 75% are going to affect their non-digital buys to buy more digital. And who are they going to cut? We asked that. So, okay, got it. You're going to cut traditional media, non-digital media. Who are you going to cut? And here you see local magazines on top, newspapers, broadcast TV. Gray means I'm going to cut it a little. Red means I'm going to cut it a lot. That 40% I pointed out in newspapers, that's the biggest red bar there. Ouch. 40% said, yeah, I'm going to cut newspaper spend to fund digital. That's significant, and I'm going to show you one slide on newspaper advertisers because you got to think, okay, where are they already spending their money? And it looks like this. 75% of newspaper advertisers that we surveyed are already spending their money in digital, and they're going to pour more money into it. So number 2, advertisers, when you talk about digital, they are going to spend a lot of that money on Facebook. Because, to them, Facebook ads work. And I think there's a key here. I think there's something very important to learn here, because this is a lot of time is them doing it themselves, DIY. They are placing the Facebook ads and they're seeing a return on investment. It's their perception. Whether they are or not, to you media and marketing professionals in the room, doesn't really matter, because they think they are. They see it. In fact, just last year, 62% of local businesses said, yeah, I've placed an ad on Facebook. That's up from 32% the year before. 32% to 62% in 1 year. And which begs the question, well, does it work? Okay, you're spending on Facebook, but does it work? Yeah, pretty much. 90% of the local businesses asked said, yeah, it works. And 36% said it was very or highly or extremely effective. And Facebook is affecting those stalwarts of local advertising, like furniture stores. We had a lot of furniture stores saying, yeah, and this is a great example. My business doubled when I started using Facebook. But remember, this is a lot to juggle. We're talking about social media, we're talking about websites, events, traditional advertising. That's a lot to juggle for a small business. That's why they're going to start getting marketing advice from reps who are selling those digital services. Can't tell you how many times we have saw in the open-ended responses, what are you going to do in the next year? what's your biggest challenge? We got to redesign our website, or we've got to redesign our social media page, or we've got to work on our blogs. Something in that realm of digital services. Why is this important? Because so many of these local businesses see their website as the way to get new business in their door. It's one of the top ways to get new business in their door. And 59% of them said, yeah, I want to change my website in the coming year. And 58% of those say, I'm going to look for an outside company to help me do it, which, when you mash all that math together, means 1 out of 3 local advertisers are going to look outside their company to help them with their website. And they're glad to do it, too. I'll show you that here in a second. But there's a lot of money that's being spent inside this digital service realm. Here you see a pie chart from good old Jacksonville, Florida, of all businesses in Jacksonville, Florida, the little dry cleaner up to the Jacksonville Jaguars. They're in this number. And the money being spent in 3 areas of online: advertising, promotion, and digital services. What's the biggest piece of the pie? Digital services. And what do I mean by digital services? It's these 5 big buckets. And you can see that half of the spend is inside something called web presence, which is web hosting, website design, things like that. And then split up among the other 4. Now, this is Jacksonville all, in whole. This isn't going to hold true if you start to look at smaller local businesses. If we cut this by businesses that have 25 employees or less, it looks more like this. And this makes sense. 75% of the spend is somewhere inside web presence. There's not a lot of 25 and under shops that are spending a whole lot in online public relations. Some, but not a whole lot. So it changes by size of business. And those 5 categories you see there can be split out into 20 different categories. So there is a lot to consider when you're a local advertiser to understand how this plays with advertising, with promotions, to help what? Influence somebody to get off a couch, get in their car, go to your store, buy another couch, bring it home, and talk about it. And they're very happy to spend money with digital service providers. Very happy. Here's an example. I X'd out the company they referred to so it didn't sound like an endorsement. They manage our website, our social network, our blogs. We're giving them money. That's fine by us. And boy, that's a great place for a local marketing or a local media company to step into, because the one thing they don't have, a lot of these digital service companies, are the connections that local media companies have. Which brings us to this. Advertisers will partner with a media company whose sales reps listen and can deliver ROI. We saw a lot of comments like this about stop sending us dumb reps. We don't want to talk to them. We don't have time to talk to them. I'm using email to block them from coming in my door. I want to talk to intelligent people and learn about us before you even set foot in the door. We had another quote that was really funny that I didn't put on here. Was one guy said, if I have to fill out one more needs analysis, I'm going to choke somebody. So they're done with that. They expect you to know what you're doing when you set foot in the door if you're going to be their partner. And I think it's because of everything they're learning online with things like Facebook. We asked, what is your biggest marketing challenge? By and large, there was one answer, one number one answer. Anyone want to guess what it was? It's 3 letters. It's ROI. They need help measuring ROI. Now remember, over on the other side, they're doing stuff on Facebook. They're seeing it as being really effective. They're seeing ROI there. They're going to demand it, if not already, from everything else around them. Why can't you deliver that? Make your damn program measurable. I need it measurable. I need to understand what money I'm spending is driving this particular person into this particular store. I don't care about your audience. I don't care about anything about that. I want customers. I want to reach the people most likely to do what I want them to do. But they know traditional media helps their digital goals. They absolutely understand that. And that's what I mean. It's this entire continuum that these guys have got to balance. From digital services to promotions to traditional media to non-traditional media. Which means local businesses aren't just advertisers. And we've got to stop, if you're calling them advertisers, which I do, I got to stop doing that. Because they're doing so much more. They're really looking at influencing somebody, like I said, to get off a couch and into a store, and they're using all of these things together. It's not one thing and a thing and a thing. It has to be a continuum. And this is really interesting, and here's another proof of it. We asked, what is your best source of leads? I'll show you the rest of the chart. So number one, referrals from other customers. 66% said, yeah, referrals from other customers. They could choose multiple. What are the best sorts of leads? Then we look at the top other ones. Look at this. Referrals, company websites, social media, professional referrals, events. Then come the ads. So it's all of these other things, again, that they've got to balance with everything else. And there's the rest there. But it's all of these digital services, all of these social entities that they feel drive more people into their store than any kind of advertising does. This is great. This is a quote. We're almost done. This is a quote, and it's a long quote, but I think it's important because it really sums up a lot of things that are going on. It's by a restaurateur in a city that rhymes with Camp Francisco, but I won't tell you where for anonymity's sake. I can't say the word. But anyway, listen to this. When asked what his greatest marketing challenge was, he said, keeping up with the ever-changing technology of advertising, new algorithms on Facebook, new social media sites, new discount websites, new trendy websites, blogs that have large impacts on our industry, making the time to learn about new marketing opportunities. I'm the owner and manager of a restaurant. It's hard to create time to learn about new opportunities and then create the time to execute the marketing strategy. Making our advertising look professional, while still creating our ads in-house. Clean photographs, smart verbiage, and eye-catching visuals are hard to create sometimes. Knowing how much budget to allocate to each marketing strategy. Realizing that in the restaurant industry, the best marketing is often not for sale. It's word of mouth. It's food bloggers, restaurant critics, food trends, an article from a local foodie website. He names a bunch of websites, all these influencing things out there. These things have a much larger impact on our business than any paid advertising. And I think that sums up everything this poor guy has to balance in order to get somebody, well, he doesn't want to sell a couch, but he wants to sell a shrimp cocktail. I don't know, whatever they eat in San Francisco. Oh, damn, I said it, but there you go. So the way forward in 2017. It's sales excellence. That's where it all comes to. When we had a meeting at Burrell and we said, okay, what does this all mean? What can we tell local media to do? It kept circling back to sales excellence. And it circled around, and this is the last slide, so you're lucky. It circled around 3 points that I think are important to internalize, to go back, talk about, and figure out what you're going to do about it. But there are things to do with each of these. I think number one to realize in 2017, if you haven't already, and I think some of you already have, it's not about advertising or marketing anymore. It's about influencing. It's about using everything in the toolbox to get somebody to do something. It isn't just, you can't just carve out an advertising campaign or a marketing campaign. It's an entire influencing campaign. You've got to understand how everything relates to one another. It's complex, it's hard, but you got to do it because that's their perspective. That's what they have to juggle. Number two, audience-based selling is dying. Customer-based selling is where it's at. Let me tell you, and the personal experience, 10 years ago, I was sitting at the Arizona Republic, and boy, howdy, we were really happy. We had an audience-based selling program. It was awesome. We would talk about boomers and Gen X, and we'd build up one-sheets, and we'd talk about our products and the audience and how important our audience is. And you know what? It worked. It did. It worked. 10 years ago. It isn't that way now because of everything the local business is learning. I don't care about your boomers. I just want people in my door. That's what I want. I want a customer. I want you to prove that you reached that person and put them in my door. And you can do that. You can prove it. I don't care what media you're in. We can help you. We can prove it. Anyway, that's my rant. I'm done. If you don't buy that, if you're like, Corey, I don't know about that audience-based selling, it's pretty important. You should know who your audience is. Absolutely. then change this out and call it ROI. You need to understand your ROI. You need to understand how you give a return on investment. Now, all of this is great, Corey. This is wonderful. It's really enlightening. But all of this great philosophy, on whose shoulders does all of this rest for a local media company? I'm not going on until somebody answers. It's the sales rep. That's where it all falls. At the end of the day, by the way, we should have Burrell bingo and have little bingo cards with overused terms we could win, because I heard a lot of end of the days. At the end of the day, it falls on the sales rep. And really, it's not the sales rep, it's the marketing professional. And heck, if you want to go with me, buy into this, it's actually somebody who understands that whole continuum, who understands the right questions to ask before they even set foot in the door, who has all of the tools that they need in order to do all of this, who understands how a website relates to a social media page, relates to the event that's coming up, and the ads that are going to put people or send people to the social media page, et cetera, et cetera. It's not just going in and selling a spot. I know everybody in the room here understands that, and I know that because you're sitting in this room. You wouldn't be here otherwise. But it's something to communicate, and you have the ammunition to go back home and say, this is happening. This is happening right now. And it's something very important to understand and act on sooner rather than later.